if you watched the video from part 5, we were learning how to go from gram to mole to atom. And mole is kind of like home. I can't go straight from gram to atom, and I cannot go straight from atom to gram. But because mole is what both of those conversions have in common, it's easy to hop to mole and then go wherever I need to go, whether it's the gram end or the atom end. Now, on part 5's video, I did problems where we started with grams and then we went to atoms. So this video, which is part 6, is going to be taking atoms and finding the mass of a certain number of atoms, so essentially going from atom to gram. What I did, just so you could see the difference in the two problems, though, is we're actually going to start with a problem from the 5th video, and then you'll be able to see the difference with the next two, just basically how we're flipping it around and going the other way. So number 1 says, how many atoms are in 30 grams of calcium? Well, we write down the given first, 30.0 grams of calcium. Now, because I have mass, there's really only one place I can go. I can go to moles. And I know I'm going to be going from gram to mole because whatever unit is on the top here will always be on the bottom here. I literally cannot say that enough. And if you think of it that way, everything fits together like puzzle pieces. It's like having a puzzle piece but having to turn it the right way to get it to click into place. You know molar mass goes here. You've just got to flip it the correct way for it to fit. Now, if you look at your periodic table, and I'm just using the reference packet here that we use in chemistry, you can see the mass of calcium is 40.08 grams per mole. So I'm going to put that right here, 40.08 grams of calcium per mole. I know I've said this too, but mole is always by itself. Do not put a number with the word mole. Grams cancel. You're done with grams, and now you're working with moles of calcium. So you ask yourself, where can I go next? The problem is asking you to solve for atoms. Can I go from mole to atom? And the answer is yes. Anytime you know moles, you can find atoms because we know there's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms in a mole. You know mole has to be on the bottom so that they cancel. By default, that leaves the 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of calcium on top. So now we're ready to solve the problem. We're going to multiply 30 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. I would suggest to beginning students, jot that number down, and then you will divide that by 40.08. If you are a student who likes just putting all of this directly in your calculator at once, some people are better at this than others. When you multiply these two numbers, make sure you hit equals before you hit divided by 40.08. And if you're following along with your calculator, you will very quickly see if you're doing this correctly or not. So once we divide, we get 4.51 times 10 to the 23rd. 4.51 times 10 to the 23rd. I hate running out of space, and I've done it again. Atoms of calcium. My OCD students out there, you probably feel my pain when we do this, but sometimes that's just how it works out. So 4.51 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of calcium. So that's what we really covered in the video right before this. Now we're going to look at, so how do you go the other way? And if you're just really paying attention to the units, it's just as easy. Just watch where you're putting units and make sure things cancel on the diagonal. So what is the mass of 7.0 times 10 to the 22 atoms of gold? So if somebody handed you 7.0 times 10 to the 22 atoms of gold, like how much would that be? Would you be able to see it? Is it something you could get your hands on? Would it be a lot? We can actually figure that out using this process. So we're going to write down our given, 7.0 times 10 to the 22 atoms. You can drop that S. We know there's more than one of gold. Gold symbol is AU. Draw your long line and your short line. And now you ask yourself, When I have atoms, where can I go? And you've only got one answer here. You can only go to moles. How many atoms are in a mole? 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So there's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of gold per mole. This number is always attached to the word atom, never with the number mole. Remember, mole's by itself, so that makes it easy to know where the number went. A lot of kids will say, well, I know mole goes on top and atom goes on the bottom, but how do I know where to put the number? The number 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd is always stuck to that word atom when we're doing a problem like this. Now we're done with atoms and we're working in moles. So the question is, can you get from mole to gram? And by the way, anytime you see mass, unless you're told differently, the person asking you the question is probably wanting the answer in grams. So 1 mole of gold has what mass? This is where you're going to have to, again, refer to your periodic table because that mass is very specific to gold. Gold has a mass of 196.97 grams. So 196.97 grams of gold per mole. Moles cancel. Now, the nice thing about this problem is, again, if you're a student that just wants to put everything in at once, you've got 2 numbers on the top you're going to multiply and you're going to divide it by the bottom. Just make sure you hit equals before you divide. So you're going to punch into your calculator 7.0 times 10 to the 22nd times 196.97. Hit equals, divide that by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, and you should get about 22.9 grams of gold. So 22.9 grams of gold. There you go. That's probably a decent little amount of gold. So yeah, that would definitely be something you maybe wouldn't mind having in your hands. Now let's look at the last one. We're going to do this one exactly the same way as number 2. What is the mass of 4.2 times 10 to the 24th atoms of fluorine? So we're going to start off with our 4.2 times 10 to the 24th atoms of fluorine. We're going to draw our long line and our short line, and we ask ourselves, okay, I have atoms, where can I go? The answer is moles, and we know there's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of fluorine per mole. I know that's a lot of writing, but it's really important you put all of that down so you can keep up with your work. I'm in moles. Where can I go? Well, I happen to know that 1 mole of fluorine has a mass of 19.0 right here on the periodic table. You're probably finding that that periodic table's something you want to keep close by now because we use it all the time. So you have 19.0 grams of fluorine per mole. You say, okay, I've got grams on top. They ask me to find mass. I'm good to go. So you're going to multiply 4.2 times 10 to the 24th. Gentle reminder here. Remember, you hit your exponent button there on your calculator. So this times 19.0 equals divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And your answer is 132.56 grams of fluorine. That's all you do. You now know how to convert back and forth between gram, mole, mole, gram. You know how to convert back and forth between atom, mole, mole, atom. And now you know how to go from gram to atom and atom to gram. We have probably one more lesson on this, and the next lesson is going to be working with molecules. It's really the same thing, but we're going to have to bring that molar mass lesson back into it. So instead of going to an individual atom, we'll be looking at molecules. If this is something that's new for you or something that you've struggled with, I would encourage you maybe to go back to the beginning of the videos and look at the question before I've answered it, pause it, try it yourself, put everything in on the calculator. Always touch those calculator buttons. That's so important. Don't just eyeball it and say, yeah, I've got that. You really don't know till you've punched it in. Punch it in, Look at the video again. Did you get the answer right? And just try a few of them. There are lots of great resources on the internet as well. You could find some worksheets or some things to practice and see if you're getting the correct answers. I'll try to put together some sort of little self-assessment for you as well. Practice makes perfect on these. You literally cannot practice too much. Pen to paper, fingers to calculator button, write everything down. You will get it. As you build up your confidence in this skill, you'll be better and better. And before you know it, this is just going to be nothing. It's going to be a little part of a bigger problem, and you're going to know how to do it, and you're going to be very confident in your skills. If you need more help on these or something wasn't clear, just drop me a comment. I'll pay attention to those and address that for you.